Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a video of the T44, which exists of one pretty epic platoon carry and 2 ace games by me. The T44 is a tier 8 medium tank. It's the first normal tier 8 medium that I ever got, and it's the second tier 8 medium that I've ever had because I also have the type. And we fast forward a little to see me bounce on a tank and bounce a tank, which is of course completely useless. Now I found that this tank has surprisingly good armor for a medium, and I'm not very afraid to be forwards with it, especially when I'm top tier and I'm not facing a really big gun. Of course it helps that this guy misses by a mile with most of his shots, so that's not really a threat to me, even if he makes it hard for me to hit him back. Like all mediums, this tank is fast and has some troll armor, and it's mobile and it turns fast. And as per usual, well, not usual yet, this is actually just my second tank review, but I'm not gonna bother you with all the exact numbers, you can look those up yourself. I just like telling you how I play it and what works for me. Now, I kill my first tank and this guy is just really ignoring us, which leads to his demise. While our team is pretty much getting hammered in the middle, because that's exactly the place where you don't want to go in this map. And as the Indian Panzer drives back, I can just shoot him and kill him, which makes my second kill. And the enemy is still ignoring us. But the base is already at 55, so we kinda have to hurry up to get there. So I drive down here and I do damage my tracks, but I don't actually get damage for it. And as I drive here, I am actually in the position to shoot people driving across the bridge, because despite being focused on our team, they're actually completely ignoring me as I drive below them, which is one of the things that I find so funny about this game. And if they weren't capping the base, I would just camp at the bottom and shoot them above me until they take notice of me. But I leave that pleasure to Alpha as he gets a kill, and I drive into the base to reset it and shoot the guy that's in there. I pull back as he actually starts to turn towards me, trusting Alpha to keep them off my back, and I wait to reload before I shoot him again. Now this guy actually tries to shoot me, but then he bounces, and then he gets company, so I use this poor little guy that can't actually pen me as cover while I keep the rest from shooting me, and he bounces on me again, and I kill him, and then I can just use his corpse as cover instead. While Alpha kills another guy as well. But now I'm facing this guy and he has more health than I do, and he has adrenaline, so it's always a bit of a gamble how this will turn out, especially when he shoots me and I bounce on him, which is not nice. But as I pull back to keep as much cover between him as I can, and I bounce him by wiggling, I get to shoot him again, and despite still reloading and having very little health left, he gets shot as well, and then I get to kill him. And to me, this, despite not being an ace game, this is a game that shows exactly what the T44 can do with just a little bit of cover and a little bit of teamwork. It's an amazing tank, it can bounce a lot more than people give it credit for. But like with all tanks, there are different ways to drive it. Now, the games that I'm showing you today are just me being top tier, so I can't actually show you how I perform when I'm bottom tier or middle tier, but there are different ways to drive it. When I'm top tier, I can be more of a bully because I know the armor that I do have is more effective, especially when you're against a tier 6 or something. And basically, the rule of thumb to remember is that the bigger the guns you meet, the more you want to hang back or drive differently. And with drive differently, I mean hanging back, supporting more, or flanking like this. And that does not just go for mediums, by the way, it goes for every tank, but it's especially valuable to drive differently in a medium tank, because the guns you meet are much more likely to pen you and they will hurt you a lot. Now, with one enemy dead and another TD over here that was sniping, I know that Alpha and I have to push here hard, because most of the team is just camping in the middle, and the other few team members that we do have are being slaughtered on the other side. So it's vital that we take out these guns as fast as we can, so I take a bit of a risk and I get damage for it. But it's worth it because he dies, even though I got shot again. It's not that big a gun that's shooting me, so it doesn't do that much damage. And as I turn around and he stands there, I can just shoot him again. And I find that hanging in the middle of the map there is a common mistake that a lot of people do, and it's very annoying when your team does that, because they're actually pretty useless there. As soon as the enemies become unspotted or are behind the hills on the other side, you can't actually do anything. So just standing there and waiting for a target is actually about the most useless that you can be. And as our enemies take care of the last remaining team member on our base side of the map, Alpha and I have now completely circled the map, and we know that we have to be careful here. So I go up on one side and he goes up in the middle to hopefully just sort of pinch them and keep them occupied, and hopefully let our team do some damage from the other side. But Alpha drives in a bit too much to my liking, and with the ice tree coming here I can't just run off after him and help him properly. But RNG is with me there and he lets me ammo rack the ice tree. So as I reload and I meet the T28, Alpha unfortunately dies, and I know I have to be very careful because that T28 can do a heck lot of damage, and I need to get behind him before he reloads and shoots me. Now, you'll have noticed in this game and in other games that I don't actually switch back to normal ammo once I've gone primo often. And this is mostly to keep me from making mistakes, because it takes a few milliseconds to change the ammo, and those milliseconds are seconds that I could be mistaking movement or making other mistakes in general, so I don't want to risk it. But now that guy is fired, so I can switch back safely while I drive to meet him. So it's not really that I'm not aware that I can change back, it's more that I'm waiting for the right time to change back without it costing me anything. Well, aside from credits obviously, but that's what I have prem tanks for. And with that kill, the game is over, and I'm very happy to have survived that, especially with the T28 coming at me. If his team had supported him just a little bit, I would have so been dead. I get an ace for that and a Radley Walter. But despite that game being just all about how much fun this tank can be, this is actually my favorite game in it so far. Now in this I'm platooning with Jim, which is one of my favorite platoon buddies ever. And we are up for some lunchtime tanking. He's in a tank destroyer, so I decide to scout for him and see what targets I can give him. I have a dragon with me, which is a shadow for quite a bit of the game, which can be pretty annoying, but luckily he doesn't completely block me, so I'm happy with that. While Jim is telling off the other campers because he doesn't want everyone to camp. Having peeked up there, I know that I shouldn't go back there because that would just make me get shot, as I have been spotted, so I decide to go here where I know that Jim can cover me pretty well from where he is, and to see what targets I can find for him here. With the dragon still shadowing me, I go up here a little so we can spot the suit together. The dragon shoots him while I just can basically hit his flank, and I miss by a long shot because I'm driving over bumps. But I do get behind him and he just really ignores me, which is always very nice, and I get to kill him before I get shot in the bum. So instead of just turning around, I drive forwards because that will put me in cover from whoever is shooting me from behind. So I drive up again to see who else of the enemy I can possibly hit, but there's actually no one in sight for me. And I now have the choice to either wait for a target or go forwards. But as I think that I actually do get another target, so I shoot him and then just wait to reload because I'm in a safe position. I've not been spotted for a little bit now. And I reload, I take a blind shot, I'm not knowing whether or not that hit. I actually pull back a little bit, and when I try to hit the guy again, he's actually behind the rock, so I can't actually damage him properly. And I take one more look at where the enemy is to see if I can actually hit anyone before just going forwards, because I can know that I cannot waste too much time just standing there and waiting for things to happen. And I'd love to be the enemy behind the enemies, but for that I first need to take care of the enemy that would be behind me before I get behind the enemy. So I shoot this guy and I wait to reload, and I just pull back a little, but he's completely ignoring me, and unfortunately the dragon shoots him before I can, but at the same exact moment. So I turn back towards Jim because now all enemies have been unspotted and we need to find new targets. But as I enter the base, it's pretty clear where one of them is, and I decide to try and peek-a-boom there. But one of them drives by and I just shoot him through the tracks, and that's the reason that I really love this game. people actually very often think that when they're behind the trains like this, they can't be shot, but they can. And it's the same with the new mechanics. People still think that they're safe behind crates or little fences, and it doesn't actually work this way anymore. Of course, you're more likely to hit the cover instead of the tank that you're trying to hit, but it really works and it's really fun. And it goes the same with this T32. I pull back a little so I can hit him easier, but he's not actually seeing me properly through the tracks. And despite me needing Premo to actually damage him, I actually track him and he has no clue whatsoever what to do about it. And if there's any lesson in this game, aside from being lucky and wrecking someone again, it's basically to just use your surroundings, use the crates, make them feel safe and then shoot them to show them that they're not safe. Shoot through the tracks, shoot at weird angles so that you're harder to hit but they are making very nice targets for you. Like with this guy, I'm actually aiming at the IS, but I had hit the guy before it, which is really nice. And of course you need a little bit of luck with all of this, but generally speaking it's just so much fun to abuse everything in the map, aside from your tank itself. And in a way this IS is doing the exact same thing by bouncing my shot and being hard to hit, but I just reposition as he drives backwards, just showing me his side. I get to kill him and I get another Ratley. And in my eyes that's basically how you have to drive a medium. You have to adapt to the team, you have to adapt to what happens. You have to adapt to the map that you're on, because you can do a heck of a lot more than you think if you can just use the terrain to your advantage. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I'll be seeing you guys the next time again.